A couple of weeks ago, I did an 18th century drink called switchel. Well, the posset we're doing today is also classed sometimes as a drink in the 18th century. Let's talk about exactly what a posset is. A posset, at least by the mid to late 18th century, was a thick, custardy-like drink or dish that was made with ale or wine. Now, it's very closely related to a caudle, which is generally an earlier dish that's very similar, or a syllabub, which are usually drank cold, but possets are drank warm. Now, by the late 18th century, they were mostly a dessert kind of a thing, or sometimes something for an invalid or sick person to drink. Recipes for possets are generally found in 17th and 18th century cookbooks. By the early 19th century, they're disappearing, and you really don't see them anymore. But they do appear in most of the 18th century cookbooks. There's a very simple one here in Primitive Cookery. Today, the recipe I'm going to be using is actually sort of a meld between two recipes in Hannah Glass's 1747, The Art of Cookery. To start this recipe off, we need 1 pint of milk, and let's put it on to boil. As our milk comes to a boil, we need to make sure to keep stirring it. This is very easy to burn, so we don't want our milk to burn. Let's keep stirring that up, and now that it's nice and warm, it's time to add breadcrumbs to our milk. This depends exactly on how thick you want the mix to be. Let's say a half a cup of white breadcrumbs. Okay, our mixture is thick and dried up, and it's doing just a tiny bit of boiling. I'm going to take this off the fire. Now it's time to get the wine mixture started. I've got 2 egg yolks. I'm gonna get these beat up real quick. Some of these recipes call for if there are any eggs to actually be strained out. So you wanna make sure they're whisked well. Now let's add in a half of a cup of sack wine. Now, sack wine is not something you can find anymore. Nobody calls wine sack. So what we're going to use is sherry, which is the closest modern equivalent. I'm using a nice dry sherry. Now let's add in some sugar. This is probably about a half a cup or so. That is definitely a two-taste situation, depending on how much sugar you want. And we're going to add in some nutmeg, maybe a fairly small quantity. We don't need a lot of nutmeg to overpower this. This looks good. Let's bring back in our milk. Let's get this stirred up a little bit. They do say to keep a lid on this so that it doesn't form a skin. Now let's just stir our wine and eggs into this and keep stirring it the whole time. We don't want this to separate up and get too curdy. It's a little thinner now with that mix into it, but you can see the kind of consistency. Let's go ahead and put these up into the dishes we're going to serve them in. To finish this off, for just a slight little bit of garnish, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon up on top. A nice warm dish for a cold day like it is today. Let's go ahead and give this a try. This is really good. It is almost like a modern a pudding or a custard. It's very quick and easy to make. It's very simple, not very many ingredients, and it's very tasty. It does have a bit of a strong wine flavor depending on what sherry you use. And that might be a little more than what some people like. There are some alterations we could try with this, especially if you wanted to do a non-alcoholic version. You could try substituting apple cider instead of the wine. Or there's another suggestion that I did try, which is a mixture of lemon juice and orange juice. And the same quantity that you would put in instead of the wine. And it made a very interesting sort of a dessert custardy idea.